And today, we're diving into something pretty profound. It's Hermann Hesse's take on the hero's spiritual journey. We're tracing it from the inner crisis in Demian all the way to the self-mastery you see in the Glass Bead Game.
So we're mainly looking at Demian, Steppenwolf, and the Glass Bead Game. But
Yeah.
this isn't just literary homework, right? It's about seeing how this journey reflects, well, our own lives. That messy path from feeling lost to finding some kind of wholeness.
Precisely. It's about growing into wisdom, learning how to act effectively in the world. It's a universal human thing, really.
Okay, so let's start unpacking that with Demian. We meet young Sinclair, and he feels pulled between these two worlds. You've got his parents' home, all peace, order, tranquility, duty, and good conscience. Safe, predictable.
Right, the light world. But then there's this other world lurking. It smelt different, spoke a different language. It's loud and shrill, sullen and violent. Think slaughterhouse in the prison, drunken and scolding women. It's darker, chaotic, but also real in a way.
And his first real taste of that dark world, the thing that really shakes him, is this encounter with Franz Cromer. Sinclair tells this lie about stealing apples, gets blackmailed.
And boom, he suddenly feels in league with the devil, totally cut off from that safe homeworld. He talks about these shadows that his family knows nothing about. It's like the ground shifts beneath him.
He even mentions the mark of Cain on his forehead. It's not literal, obviously, but it represents that deep inner split, that feeling of being marked, different, maybe even fallen.
Yeah, it's the loss of innocence, the realization of his own capacity for darkness. His whole view of himself and the world just fragments.
And right into that chaos steps Max Demian. Sinclair is just completely drawn to him. He says Demian's voice and influence felt like they could only emanate from myself. It's uncanny.
It is. Demian seems to understand Sinclair better than Sinclair understands himself. He acts like this externalized conscience almost.
Yeah.
But a disruptive one.
Right, because Demian starts questioning everything, especially Sinclair's conventional religious beliefs. He pushes him towards a less hidebound and more personal and imaginative way to think about things like the Cain story.
And Demian himself is kind of mysterious, with that unseen gaze, dead and turned inwards or staring into the far distance. It suggests he's tapped into something deeper, some perception beyond the ordinary.
But Demian isn't always around. And when he leaves, Sinclair really flounders. He goes through this phase, rapidly deteriorating, becomes a ringleader and a notorious pub crawler. He dives right into that dark world.
He does, but what's fascinating is, even in the middle of all that, he has this sudden conversion. He sees this girl. Beatrice never even talks to her, but she becomes his holy altar. He turns into someone praying in a temple.
Which just shows how strong that underlying pull towards something pure, something meaningful still is, right? Even when he's deep in the muck.
Exactly. That longing doesn't just vanish. It's still there, driving him. But interestingly, even this Beatrice thing is still projecting outwards. The next step is finding guidance within.
And that brings him to Pistorius, the organist, another mentor figure.
Right. And Pistorius has this idea that the impetus which enables you to fly is our great human possession. Everybody has it. He compares it to a fish's air bladder, this sort of impersonal internal regulator. It's about finding that ancient wisdom inside yourself.
Which leads Sinclair to this concept of Abraxas, this god that embodies both good and evil, divine and demonic.
Yeah, it's about integration. Sinclair draws this face, part Demian, part himself, and calls it mother, sweetheart, whore, and strumpet, calls it Abraxas. It's like Jacob wrestling the angel. You have to grapple with all of it, the light and the shadow, to become whole. You can't just pick one.
But even Pistorius isn't the final answer, is he? Sinclair starts feeling this repugnance for the mythology stuff, finds it tedious.
And Pistorius gets it. He realizes his job wasn't to give Sinclair new gods, but to help to lead men to themselves. The student has to outgrow the teacher. That's part of the journey, too. You have to find your own path eventually.
So Demian really lays out that initial struggle, doesn't it? The pain of breaking away from what's comfortable but maybe not authentic, facing conformity, rebellion, finding guides, but ultimately having to look inward.
It's that first crucial step of individuation, as Jung might call it. Separating out, finding your own ground, even if it hurts.
Right.
Owning your complexity.
Okay, so that's the youthful crisis, but the journey continues. Let's shift gears to Steppenwolf and Harry Haller. He's middle-aged, deeply unhappy, calls himself a lone wolf, an uncouth hermit. Feels totally out of sync with the world.
Yeah, Harry's struggle is different. He feels split, famously, between man and wolf. He thinks two souls are far too many for a single breast. But the book argues that's actually far too few. He's simplifying himself.
He labels everything intellectual or spiritual as man and everything instinctual or wild as wolf.
Right, but life isn't that neat. He's trying to cram his messy, multifaceted self into these two boxes, and it's tearing him apart.
And he has this complicated relationship with the bourgeois world. He despises its mediocrity, its search for balance that avoids extremes, but he's also trapped by it, isn't he?
Totally. He's bound by its spell, even adds to its strength, because on some level he has to share their beliefs in order to live. He feels this constant pain because he craves something bigger, more tragic, more meaningful, but feels stuck in the mundane. His urge for tragedy has been denied.
Which leads him to the very strange magic theater.
Oh yes, the magic theater. Not a real place, more a state of mind, maybe. He's told he has to leave his highly esteemed personality at the door. It's got endless doors, 10 or 100 or 1,000, and behind each one is exactly what you seek.
So it's about dismantling that rigid self he's built, letting it fall apart to see what else is there.
Precisely. It's a space for disintegration and hopefully reintegration, a chance to explore all those other potential selves he keeps locked away.
And part of that involves confronting things he's repressed, like sensuality, through Hermann, who teaches him to dance something he initially resisted with vehemence.
And Maria, who helps him experience sex without guilt, to be both child and beast in the innocence of sex. That phrase is key innocence not as naivety, but as freedom from the usual intellectual baggage and bitter accompaniment of guilt he associates with pleasure.
It's about embracing the physical, the playful, the parts he tried to deny in his man versus wolf split.
Exactly. And then there's that amazing ball scene. Harry, the eternal outsider, the Steppenwolf, suddenly feels the intoxication of a general festivity, this mystic union of joy. His personality dissolves like salt in water.
It's temporary, but it shows him a different way of being, right? A release from that crushing isolation.
A glimpse of connection, of fluidity, and then in the theater, he meets Mozart, or, well, a version of Mozart.
Right, and Mozart gives him this crucial advice about life being like a radio playing chaotic music, a hurly-burly. Mozart tells him, basically, learn to listen properly. Learn what is to be taken seriously, and laugh at the rest.
It's profound, really. Stop fighting the chaos. Stop despairing over the imperfections. Accept the static. Find the humor. Find the music within the noise. Don't take the hurly-burly so damn seriously.
So Steppenwolf takes us deeper into that feeling of being an outsider, the pain of being fragmented, but it also shows a path toward integration, towards accepting, even celebrating our contradictions and complexities, maybe even laughing at them.
It's about realizing you're not just two things, you're multitudes. And the journey is about learning to dance with all those different parts, you know?
Okay, so from youthful crisis in Demian through midlife fragmentation and the beginnings of integration in Steppenwolf, let's move to the final stage. The Glass Bead Game and Joseph Knecht. This feels like a culmination, doesn't it? Active self-mastery.
It does. Knecht represents a different level. He's the Magister Ludi, the master of the game, living in Castelia, this pedagogic province devoted purely to mind and to truth.
An intellectual paradise built after the age of the feuilleton, Hesse's term for what he saw as a superficial, fragmented culture. Castelia is meant to be artificial, more orderly, more secure.
And the Glass Bead Game itself is this incredibly complex, abstract pursuit, a form of concentrated self-awareness for intellectuals, aiming for pure harmony, detached from the messy outside world.
Knecht thrives there initially. He's chosen by the music master because he has this capacity for enthusiasm, subordination, reverence, worshipful service. His growth is about finding these new tensions and new harmonies. He loves his mentor, the music master.
But even in this perfect seeming place, doubts start creeping in. He has these debates with Plinio Designori, who comes from the outside world. Designori argues that a purely intellectual life is unfruitful and even dangerous.
And these conversations make Knecht see the dubiousness of the game, right? They force him to question Castalia's isolation.
Exactly. Then he encounters Father Jacobus, who gives him this historical perspective, helps him see Castalia not as timeless, but as an entity subject to time, washed and undermined by history.
Challenging its political innocence and naivete, making Knecht realize that even this perfect system exists within the flow of the real world.
Which leads to Knecht's own internal conflict, this duality or polarity, loyalty to Castalia versus this pull towards awakening, towards apprehending reality. He sees Castalia's greatness is imperiled, maybe even on the wane.
So his decision to resign as Magister Ludi, to leave Castalia, It's not a failure.
Not at all. Hess presents it as a wholly logical outcome. It's a cry of alarm, a summons. It's an act choosing active engagement with reality over staying in the protected but ultimately static intellectual sphere.
And he leaves to become a tutor in the outside world for the boy Tito. This connects to that Rainmaker story within the book, doesn't it?
Yes, very powerfully. In that story, the Rainmaker learns to observe, to sense, to understand the whole system, not just with his intellect, with his feet and hands, his eyes, skin, ears, and nose. It's about holistic understanding and practical application. Necht is moving towards that.
Applying knowledge to real-world needs, not just abstract games.
Exactly. It's about service. Remember the St. Christopher analogy used for him? He wanted to serve rather than to be a master and govern. Service was his strength. He sought the greatest, the most powerful master, which ultimately seems to be life itself, reality itself.
Even if that service leads to sacrifice, as hinted at by his ending.
Right. The ultimate mastery isn't about controlling the game from within the ivory tower. It's about the courage to step out, apply your wisdom, serve a purpose larger than yourself, and engage directly with the complexities and imperfections of the world. It's wisdom in action.
Wow. So putting it all together, Sinclair finds his identity through crisis. Harry Holler learns to integrate his fragmented self. And Necht achieves mastery by applying his integrated self in service to the world. It's quite a progression.
It really is. Hess gives us this incredible map. Inner crisis isn't just pain. It's a catalyst. Confronting all parts of ourselves, even the dark bits, is necessary. And true fulfillment seems to lie in that balance between inner work and outer engagement. Compassionate action in the world.
And it's never finished, is it? That idea of constantly destroying the self in order to renew the self. Each hero had to leave something comfortable behind to grow.
Always. It's an ongoing process.
Which leads us to the final thought for you, listening. Thinking about these journeys from crisis through fragmentation towards this kind of active self-mastery. What comfortable Castalia in your own life, what deeply held bourgeois assumption might you need to question? What might you need to perhaps courageously leave behind to move towards your own unique form of self-mastery?
Something to ponder. Keep exploring. It's definitely a journey worth taking.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it sparked something for you on your own journey.